You ever feel like your life is on repeat, but it's not even the good kind of rerun? Just the same tired loop every day, with nothing but grease, fake smiles, and the smell of burnt bacon to keep you company. That was me, Cassandra Rayner. Cassie, to the few who still pretended to like me. The bell over the diner door jingled like a cruel little prank. Another wave of customers, mostly regulars, mostly rude, filed in and flopped into booths like they were allergic to patience. "Hey, sweetheart. I've been waitin' 5 minutes. You blind or just slow?" Table 3. Dale. Always the charmer. I slapped on a smile. "Just busy, Dale." "Coffee?" He grunted. "Make it black. Like your mood." "Cute." I turned to the counter. Betty, the cook, was already behind on 4 orders, flipping pancakes like she hated them. Eli, our former head chef, had quit 2 months back, said the owners slashed wages again. Betty and I were the last ones standing. "You should smile more," Betty grunted over her shoulder. "Tell my face that when I can afford rent," I muttered. Lunch shift dragged like molasses uphill. I had grease on my arms, coffee on my apron, and no tips worth mentioning. When my break came, I didn't eat, just sat outside the alley behind the diner, watching garbage roll down the sidewalk like tumbleweeds of disappointment. My phone buzzed. Family group chat. I almost didn't look. But of course. Mom's message: "Dinner at Tina's tonight. Don't forget to dress nice." Right. Tina's house in the suburbs, where she plays step-forward wife with her golden retriever and her smug husband. Where I show up like the cautionary tale of what happens when you don't follow through. Cut to, later that evening, at Tina's. Tina opened the door in heels and a wine-colored dress. She looked like Pinterest threw up on her, in that perfect, rich mom way. "You made it," she said, like I was the dog who managed not to pee on the carpet. "Didn't want to miss the free food," I smiled. Inside was a mix of cousins, in-laws, and judgment. The air smelled like pot roast and pretension. Tina's husband, Greg, clinked his glass. "Everyone, quick toast. To family. And to my sister-in-law Cassie, who's still holding it down at the diner. America's backbone." Everyone laughed. I laughed too, but my stomach dropped like a bad elevator. Then Sadie walked in. My best friend since high school. Or so I thought. Except tonight, she walked in wearing red-soled heels and a smug smile. And she wasn't alone. Behind her, hand on her back, was Bryce Carter. My ex, the guy who dumped me 2 years ago when I lost my college savings and had to drop out of culinary school. "Just too much pressure, babe," he'd said. "You're not yourself anymore." Now he was all teeth and tan. Finance suit, slick hair, same old lies. "Cassie." Sadie beamed. "Look who I ran into again. Small world." Bryce winked. "Hey, Cass." I stared at both of them. Sadie had known what he did. I cried in her arms for weeks. We swore off men like him together. And now she shows up, on his arm? I blinked. Didn't realize betrayal came with an appetizer. Sadie's smile wavered, but only for a second. "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic." "I'm not," I said. "That's your department." Tina laughed. "Still taking everything so seriously, huh, Cass? Maybe it's the diner life." I stood there in my faded jeans and scuffed shoes while they sipped expensive wine and looked at me like I was a bad smell someone forgot to spray away. Bryce raised his glass. To second chances. I didn't raise mine. I turned and left. Quietly. Dignified. I got in my car, the one with the broken passenger window and the check engine light that's been blinking since last October, and Saturday. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just stared at the dashboard until my eyes burned. They thought I was a joke. The ex. The failure. The waitress. But jokes, they're just setups. And mine? Mine was still winding up. Sometimes the world doesn't punch you all at once. Sometimes, it takes its sweet time, cracking you piece by piece until one day, there's just silence. And then the fall. I was wiping down counter stools when my manager, Randy, waddled in with sweat stains under his armpits and a clipboard he barely read. "Cassie," he grunted, "step into the back." I followed him into the storage room that doubled as an office. A single light flickered above us like it was scared to fully commit. He cleared his throat. "Got a complaint yesterday. Said you were rude. Didn't refill a drink. Walked away mid-order." I frowned. "That's not true." "Who said that?" Randy shifted, uncomfortable. "Doesn't matter. Customer experience is everything." "It does matter," I snapped. "Because it's a lie." He didn't look up. "I've covered for Betty, cleaned up rat droppings in the back freezer, and worked double shifts with a twisted ankle. One customer says I didn't refill their iced tea and that's grounds?" Randy blinked like he was trying to process complex math. "You're not fired. We're just restructuring." I let out a breath. "You're firing me." "Not firing. Just letting go." "Same damn thing." I grabbed my coat, my keys, my last sliver of pride. No big farewell. No cake. Just the sound of the bell as I pushed the door open and stepped into unemployment. Outside, the wind cut sharp through my jacket. My paycheck wouldn't cover rent, let alone food. My savings, if you could call $78 savings, sat like a cruel joke in my bank account. I sat on the floor with a can of corn and a plastic spoon. It wasn't rock bottom. Not yet. Rock bottom came 2 nights later when my landlord taped an eviction notice to my door. I had 3 days. Cold. Damp. The windows fogged from my breath. I pulled a hoodie over my face to block the fluorescent lights overhead. I wasn't sure if I wanted to scream, sleep, or disappear. And that's when the phone buzzed. Sadie. Text message. "Hey girl. Just saw on LinkedIn, Lux stays hiring in corporate events. Thought of you, red heart." I stared at the screen. She knew. She had to. That was her complaint at the diner. She was the customer. The phrasing, the smugness, the timing, it all clicked like puzzle pieces soaked in venom. She'd gotten me fired just to keep me beneath her. Just to remind me where I belonged. 6 months earlier at the Lux Stay Hotel lobby, Sadie and I sat drinking cheap mimosas she conned out of the bartender during her networking brunch. I told her about my plan, a food truck, homemade fusion recipes, name brand, colors, logo. She smiled. "You're so cute when you get excited." "Cute?" I asked. "Just, big dreams." She was listening. But not as a friend. She was taking notes. Back to present, Cassie in the car. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. "Okay," I whispered. "If no one's gonna save me." I let the rest hang there, unfinished, like a threat. The next morning, I walked into a soup kitchen, asked for a volunteer shift, and stayed after to help clean. I slept in the pantry for 2 nights. Then I saw a flyer. Catering help needed for weekend wedding. $100 cash. Must know kitchen basics. It was handwritten. phone number at the bottom. I called. A familiar voice picked up. Eli. The chef who quit the diner. Cass? Yeah. You still cooking? Barely. Why? Because I've got ideas. And I'm not done yet. Eli met me on the corner of 14th and Main with two things, a duffel bag full of old kitchen tools and a look like he hadn't slept in weeks. I'm in, he said. But if this ends with us back in that grease pit, it won't. I cut him off. We're building something real. From scratch. We pulled everything we had. Eli's uncle sold us a rusted-out food truck for cheap. It didn't run, but it didn't have to. We parked it behind a closed-down hardware store and turned it into a prep station. We painted the side with leftover navy blue and white paint. The name? Rainer's Table. Simple. Personal. Mine. We started with local street markets. Eli handled savory, I took desserts. We made grilled elote with maple cayenne butter, peach-glazed chicken sliders, bourbon bread pudding with candied pecans. Recipes I'd scribbled in notebooks during diner breaks while my coworkers called me Martha Stewart's broke cousin. The first weekend, we barely made $50. The second weekend, we sold out in 4 hours. By the third, we had a line. A food blogger tagged us on Instagram. Then a local morning show called. Then someone from a catering company reached out. They needed emergency fill-in chefs for a corporate hotel event, same-day prep, 4-course service, upscale style. We said yes before we even knew where it was. We rolled up to the loading dock and a valet in a gold vest pointed us to service entrance D. Eli looked up at the sign above the lobby. Lux Stay Midtown. I felt my stomach flip. But I didn't blink. We were led through polished marble hallways, past kitchens stocked with machines we couldn't afford to dream about yet. We set up quietly, like ghosts, prepping each course with precision. No one asked our names. No one recognized me. Until later. When the guests started pouring into the rooftop ballroom, Sadie was at the front, wearing a headset, clipboard in hand, walking with that fast, fake corporate strut like she owned the place. I kept my hair tucked under my cap, eyes on the plates. I plated short ribs with citrus glaze while she bragged to the hotel manager about curating this whole event personally. A man in a tux tasted the main course, groaned, and flagged her over. Who made this? She turned. Oh, the kitchen staff. I brought in some emergency hires. It's phenomenal, he said. She beamed. Of course it is. That's when she saw me. Her smile stalled, just a flicker. But she didn't say anything. I smiled politely. Can I get you another plate, Sadie? Her eyes narrowed. Cassie? I lifted my cap. Surprised to see me working my way up? She opened her mouth, probably to fake nice, or spin it into a joke, but I walked away before she could speak. Eli handed me the next tray, barely suppressing a laugh. You know her? She knows me, I said. She'd just eaten a full-course meal made by the girl she got fired. Her guests were raving. And she couldn't claim a damn bit of it. That night, back in the truck, Eli and I sat on the roof, drinking leftover punch out of plastic cups. What now? He asked. I stared at the skyline. Now, I said, we go bigger. The first viral video hit on a Wednesday morning. Some college kid with 200K followers posted a TikTok about our bourbon bread pudding, called it straight up criminal how good this is, and tagged us. Within 24 hours, we had a line wrapping around the block. We ran out of food by noon, twice. 2 weeks later, a major food critic from the Jersey Times showed up incognito. I knew who he was the second he fake fumbled his fork for drama. He wrote, "This truck should be illegal. Rainer's table is what happens when trauma, talent, and hustle get marinated for too long and finally boil over. By the end of that month, I had 3 ghost kitchens running. Eli trained 2 new sous chefs. We started taking private bookings, bridal tastings, even small hotel brunches. The offers started coming in: investors, food festivals, partnerships. And then, Luxe Stay. I got the email late one night. Their corporate logo in the header. Subject line: brand alignment opportunity, urgent. I opened it slowly. Sadie. She wrote like it was just business. Like she hadn't tried to ruin me a year ago. We've been following your growth and are incredibly impressed. Luxe Stay would love to bring you on board as an exclusive culinary partner across select resorts. We believe your story and flavors align with our upscale brand identity. I didn't reply. The next day, she called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she texted. Cass. Don't be stubborn. This could be your big break. I stared at the message for a long time. Big break? She still thought I was looking for permission. I wasn't. I called a realtor instead. I had him find 3 boutique hotels in the area that were struggling post-pandemic. Low staff, high potential, bad management. I put in offers on all 3 using investor capital from a private equity firm I'd met through a client's wedding. Each property had its own flavor: one by the beach, one downtown, one tucked in the woods. We rebranded fast. No more Oak Lane Inn or Whisper Pines. They became Rainer's Bay, Rainer's Reserve, Rainer's Edge. I had a team redesign the interiors using raw, cozy tones. We installed open kitchens. Every guest got a welcome dessert. Branded thank you notes. Linen-wrapped menus with our signature dishes. We didn't just serve food. We served an experience. Eli was stunned. You realize what you've done, right? He said one night after we signed our 3rd property. You're not just back in the game, you're building an empire. I leaned back in the hotel lounge, sipping a coffee I didn't have to make myself anymore. They made sure I never got a seat at their table, I said. So I built my own. Then, just for fun, I renamed one of the new hotels Hearth and Harbor, a twisted little nod to the diner where I'd started. The reviews rolled in. Guests raved about the authentic hospitality. Influencers snapped selfies in the lobby's custom mural, a hand-painted table set for one, surrounded by shadows. Luxe Stay's market share dropped 7% that quarter. Sadie tried to play it cool. She posted an inspirational LinkedIn piece about collaboration in the face of competition. She didn't name me. But she didn't have to. A few days later, I saw a familiar name pop up on my caller ID. Bryce. I let it ring. Then blocked the number. That night, I got dinner alone in the penthouse suite of Rainer's Reserve. I ate with silver cutlery. Sat on velvet chairs. Looked out over a city that once spit me out. They called me a waitress. Now, I was running the floor. The invitation came in the form of a group text from Tina. Brunch at Luxe Stay Riverfront this Sunday. Classy vibes, only smiling face with smiling eyes, don't be late. Tina had always loved hosting things that weren't technically hers. Luxe Stay Riverfront was one of their signature properties, a tall glass and gold monument to shallow taste, overpriced mimosas, and influencers pretending their lives were better than yours. I almost deleted the message. But then again, why not? Sunday morning, I arrived 5 minutes late. Not because I was stalling, but because I'd learned something from the people who used to mock me. Power walks in when it damn well pleases. I stepped out of the black SUV in a tailored navy coat and nude heels, sunglasses still on. My assistant, Lexi, handed me my phone as I walked through the hotel's revolving door. A hostess tried to stop me. I nodded once and kept walking. Because I wasn't here for permission. I was here to be seen. The brunch was on the top floor, skyline view, polished marble floors, linen everything. Tina and her husband Greg were already at the table, along with our cousin Becca, 2 family friends, and, of course, Sadie. Her eyes widened as I approached, and she immediately stood up. "Cassie," she said, too loudly. "Wow, you look different." "I'd say the same to you, Sadie," I replied, removing my sunglasses. "Except you look exactly the same." Tina stood and gave me an awkward air kiss. "Glad you could make it," she said, glancing at my outfit like she was trying to find the price tag. "Finally ditched the apron?" I smiled. "A few aprons, actually. I delegate now." Greg smirked. "You still in that food truck thing?" "It's evolved." A server approached. "Miss Rayner, your usual coffee?" "Yes, thank you." I turned back to the table. Lux Stay uses one of my roasts in select properties now. "Didn't they tell you?" Sadie stiffened. Bryce walked in 10 minutes later, late as ever, with that same smug confidence he used to wear like cologne. His eyes hit me, paused, then narrowed. He walked up like we were friends. "Wow. You look, wow." "Thanks," I said coolly. "You don't." He blinked. Laughed like it was a joke. Tina poured herself another mimosa. "So, Cass, what is it you actually do now?" I pulled a leather folio from my bag, opened it, and passed a few copies around the table. "Here's my current portfolio. I own and operate 3 boutique hotels under the Rayners brand. A 4th opens next month in Charleston. We just acquired a 5th, used to be a Lux Stay property, actually." Sadie nearly choked on her drink. "You're kidding." I didn't even glance at her. I never joke about assets. Tina stared at the paper like it was written in a language she didn't speak. Greg leaned in, reading. "You're competing with Lux Stay?" "More like overtaking," I said. "One location at a time." Silence. The kind that hums. Sadie tried to smile. "Wow. That's impressive. We should catch up. Maybe collaborate?" I finally turned to her, expression blank. "You had your shot at collaboration. Remember? When you got me fired and stole my concept notes?" Becca looked up. "Wait, what?" I pushed my chair back. "Anyway, I only came to say thank you." "For what?" Tina asked. "For the push," I said. "Without it, I might have stayed small." Lexi appeared at my side with a soft cough. "Your 12:30 call is waiting, Ms. Rayner." I nodded, finished the last sip of my coffee, and stood. Before I left, I looked back. You know what's funny? Everyone stared. I used to dream of belonging at tables like this. Turns out. I looked around the room like it was a showroom of people I'd outgrown. I prefer building my own. And just like that, I walked out. No raised voices. No tears. Just cold, clean silence and the sharp click of my heels as I left them behind, permanently. I gave them a month. A month to gossip. To whisper. To stew. Then I sent the invites. Not subtle, not quiet, glossy, thick-papered, personalized. Embossed in gold foil with a wax seal stamped R. It read, "You're cordially invited to the grand opening of Rayner's Crown, an elevated dining and hospitality experience at the former Lux Stay Riverfront." The same hotel where they laughed at me over $18 mimosas? Mine now. I didn't just buy the building. I bought the entire block's catering rights, the valet contract, and a billboard across the street that said, "Rainer's Crown, we don't serve ego. Only excellence." Opening night, the lobby glowed under antique chandeliers I had flown in from Milan. Walls draped in deep emerald velvet. Staff in clean black uniforms with gold-stitched nameplates. Every detail, hand-picked. Every scent, curated. I stood near the bar, glass of champagne in hand, watching as the guest list trickled in like moths. Tina and Greg arrived first. Her mouth literally dropped open. "This used to be Luxe Stay Riverfront?" I smiled. "Yeah. I fixed it." Greg mumbled something about architecture. Tina was too busy scanning the room for a safe corner to hide in. Sadie arrived 10 minutes later. Her face was tight. She tried to play it cool, dressed in black with red lipstick, but her heels slowed as she saw my logo everywhere. She walked over cautiously. "This is nice," she said. I tilted my head. "No clipboard tonight?" Her smile faltered. "Why'd you invite me?" I sipped my drink. "Because I wanted you to watch." "Watch what?" A voice behind her answered, the end of the line. "Bryce." He looked hollowed out, thinner, paler, like Wall Street chewed him up and spat out something bitter. He walked past Sadie and held out his hand to me. "Cassie." I saw the acquisition report. "Can we talk?" I didn't take his hand. I just smiled. "You should talk to your lawyer." He blinked. "What?" I handed him a manila folder, thick, damning. Inside were pages of records, emails between him and Sadie, planning to push me out of the culinary accelerator program we'd all applied to years ago. Proof they'd falsified references. Sworn affidavits. Even a voice recording. He flipped through it, face turning white. "You're bluffing," Sadie hissed. "Am I?" I said. "Because your name's all over the Luxe Stay expense report too. Something about vendor kickbacks and falsified invoices?" I looked toward the front. Ah. And there's the press. A group of reporters entered the lobby, credentials pinned, cameras ready. I raised my voice just enough. "Tonight isn't just a celebration. It's a cleanse." Bryce tried to speak. I stepped forward. "Some people stole. Some sabotaged. Others just laughed when I had nothing. But I don't need revenge." I smiled at Sadie, slow and cold. "Your downfall is better when it's public." She stared at me, lips parted. "You wouldn't." "I already did." Lexi walked up beside me and whispered, "Legal served them both." Security was quietly ushering Bryce and Sadie toward the exit. They weren't screaming. They weren't crying. Just stunned. The kind of silence that comes right before everything collapses. The room clapped, softly at first, then louder. "And me?" I turned away before they were even out the door. Because I was already bored of them. 2 days after the grand opening, Tina called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Her voice was softer than usual, like she was trying out humility for the first time in her life. "Cassie, I didn't know. I didn't realize how far you'd come. Maybe we got it wrong. Maybe I got it wrong. We're still family." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then deleted the message. Family, to me, isn't blood. It's who shows up when you're cleaning grease traps with a sprained ankle. It's who doesn't flinch when you say you're sleeping in your car. It's who doesn't laugh at you while you're drowning. Tina wasn't family. Neither was Mom, who only reached out after the article in Forbes Women went viral. She texted, "So proud of you. Can I come visit the hotel sometime?" I blocked the number. It sounds cruel, right? But when someone only remembers you once you're on a stage, they were never in the audience to begin with. Eli and I were now running 5 properties. He managed the kitchen systems, hiring teams from shelters and culinary re-entry programs, exactly the kind of people we used to be. Lexi came on full-time as my operations manager. We launched a scholarship fund under my name for women in culinary school, especially the ones who didn't have safety nets or last names that opened doors. Sadie, meanwhile? Fired from Luxstay. Sued for breach of ethics. Branded as toxic liability in the hospitality circles she once bragged about infiltrating. Bryce? Bankrupt. His last startup folded after he mismanaged investor funds. Word was, he tried pitching a show to Food Network. Got laughed out of the room. I should have felt satisfied. But I didn't feel much at all. Because here's the thing about revenge, once it's done, all that's left is you. And that's when I realized something I never saw coming. The final twist wasn't what I did to them. It was who I became without them. Rainer's Crown made the front page of Hospitality Insider as the boutique brand that dethroned a legacy. But I didn't celebrate with champagne. I went back to where it started. Back to Harbor and Hearth. The old diner sat with a for-lease sign in the cracked window, a faded open sign still hanging limp inside. The place was gutted now, grease stains on the walls, chairs flipped, ghosts everywhere. I walked in quietly. I still had the old key, never turned it in. I stood behind the counter one last time, ran my fingers across the scarred surface where Dale once banged his coffee cup like I was a servant. Where I got told to smile more. Where Sadie reported me like a Karen on a power trip. Where Randy fired me because it was easier than standing up for the truth. I pulled a folded document from my coat. Deed of ownership. Bought through a shell company. I didn't want to reopen it. I just wanted to own it. Control it. Decide when it dies. I lit a match and dropped it into the rusted fryer vat. I'd soaked the place earlier with accelerant, quiet, quick, legal. No one got hurt. But the diner went up in flames like a dry confession. No lawsuits. No drama. Just a fire report. An insurance claim. A final purge. Lexi was waiting for me outside, engine running. As the firemen arrived, I didn't cry. Didn't flinch. I just watched. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. Now I am. I leaned back in the passenger seat and watched Harbor and Hearth disappear in the rearview mirror. Some stories end with forgiveness. Some end with closure. Mine? Mine ends with silence. And the sound of nothing left to burn.